everybody. So my name is Kristjan. I am the founder of COMODULE. And today I'm here to tell me my story, but I think it's not my story, it's our story. It's the company of our company, story of our company and why we do what we do. And my presentation is split in like 4 different ones. One is how we started, where we are today, but maybe most importantly, why we do what we do. So first of all, how did we came to be? First of all, we are all engineers. So we used to build racing cars. And the story of the company is actually that I presented roughly 2 years ago in Tartu, is how to raise money to build a company, use it all to build a racing car, crash that car, and then build a company with no money. So that's the short conclusion of how COMODULE came to be. But yes, in university, we used to build racing cars as students, and I ran that team for 4 years. And this was difficult. You know, building a startup is not that difficult. My record of staying awake to achieve a goal was 53 hours. So I worked 53 hours straight to get the car running, and then the car ran, and then I went home and slept 21 hours. So if people ask me, is it like hard to build a startup? Then I say, no, it's much easier than building a racing car. But we did really good. We became top 3 team in the world out of 500 teams, you know, backed by Daimler or backed by Formula 1 teams. And then we were like, hey, but we need a new challenge. So we decided that we want to build a fully electric racing car, but we needed money to do that. So we tried to find all kinds of sources where to get money, and they had just founded a fund where they gave money to new business ideas. We didn't have a business idea. We wanted to build a racing car and need money to buy battery cells. So we sent our stuff and they come back and say, hey, cool idea to build like smart battery systems, send us a 1-pager. Damn, okay, we actually have to do something for it. So we got some beers, we made a 1-pager. Okay, send us a business plan. Like, what business? We don't want to do a business. So we came up with an idea called Formula Battery Management System, that we would build smart battery system for cars. And then they tell us, hey, you know, you got to the final round, like super cool, you know, blah, 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 all these startup G's. Come and pitch in front of the jury. We're all like, wow, but what is a pitch? So we opened the Google and we tried to understand what is a pitch. And after like half an hour, we're like, I think it's a presentation. So why didn't they call it like that? Whatever. So we go there, and before we get to the jury, I told the guys, hey, we need a prototype. You know, it's Prototron. So what we do is we take some random battery cells, we add them to a random piece of electronics, and then we program this electronics to shift between green and red lights. Nothing else. We go in, and the jury is like, oh my God, look at that prototype. And they all come around. Of course, they were all financial and software people, right? So we do the pitch, and the guys tell us, okay, your business plan is childish and ludicrous, but you guys rock. And they gave us 10,534 euros and a picture in front of a newspaper with very dumb faces on. So we get the money. Next day, we spend all that money to build battery cells or buy battery cells for the car. We get to the competition, and with these electric cars, the biggest problem is that there's a lot of safety measures. You know, safety is always a problem if you're an entrepreneur. And in this competition, even if one battery cell fails, the car shuts off. So as I was the second driver, I told my team that I need a button called the fuck all button. And that button would disable our safety systems. So if I have only like 1 lap to go, then at least I can finish even if the car dies. So I have 4 laps to go, the car dies, it restarts, I have 3 laps to go, it dies completely. Yes, I have this button, I press this button, and I know that after I press this button, the car will be worthless. And I continue riding, and we're doing really well, we're like on top 3, and then the car dies. And that's it. Like, we didn't finish. We pulled the car off from the racing track. We got money to build a company, but we actually spent it to build a racing car. We demolished the racing car. We didn't have a company, we didn't have a racing car, and we had to graduate. So kind of difficult situation we're to be in. And then one guy says, hey, but the business plan we wrote, maybe that's not that bad. So we ended up in Berlin, started a bootcamp and creating a company called COMODULE from actually the original idea we got from, although we spent all that money in building a racing car. Why we went to Berlin is that we actually started the company in Estonia, but we never took off. You know, some guys had a day job, some guys were in the university, and we really never focused. So maybe one word of advice, if you really want to make something happen, and if you actually believe in it and you see first steps in it, then just put your head down and go for it. You know, quit everything else. And it's maybe not the best advice at the moment, because there sits Tengis, who works for COMODULE, and yesterday I saw him pitching on the stage. So if he takes my advice now, he will probably leave COMODULE and start his own company. As long as I can be the first investor, it's fine. And then what did we do? So we started connecting bikes and scooters. That was 2014. We were in Berlin telling people, like, we're going to connect all bikes to the internet. And the Germans were like, why? We drive cars, and why should a bicycle be an internet? Well, 2014 up to 2018, 4 years of grind, going to bankruptcy almost, doing breach rounds. And then now we have become the global leader in what we do. We have connected more than 250,000 vehicles, 45 countries, millions of kilometers, and etc. So how did we make it? I would say that wait. A lot of you might be too early. And I think for us, it's like good things come to those who wait. And our big bang was when a guy named Travis van der Zanden bought a couple of scooters from China, put them on the streets of Santa Monica in California, and said that he has solved the biggest problem of mobility, and that's the driver. So that you can do scooter rentals and ride from point A to point B. So I took a plane, I flew to California, I came out from the plane in Santa Monica, and I see, a 4-year-old Chinese girl, and then like a 75-year-old black mama, and everything in between riding scooters. And I'm like, yes, this is the vehicle that everybody loves. So what I do next, I checked one Bird vehicle and one Lime vehicle, and then I took them into pieces and saw what IoT devices they have in, understood it's very poor, and then I spent 3 days trying to get into Bird. I had like 70 different LinkedIn intros, 3 intros to the CEO, went from the front door, back door, never got in. But why it was important was that Bird didn't let us in, but Bird became the most valuable company in the shortest period of time of human history. So in 11 months, they were 1 billion, and then I think in 14 months, they were 2 billion worth. And this is the fastest growth of a company ever. And what happened then was that everybody wanted to become Bird. But there was only one company in the world at that moment of time who could connect scooters to the internet, and that was us. And what happened was that when in 2017 we produced like 2,000 units per year, then we got orders in 4 weeks for around 55,000. So you go from 2,000 a year to 20,000 per month, which gives you 120 times growth. And we managed to do it in 5 months. We should have done it in 1 month. So what happened was we basically said that we were completely sold out, and that's also why we lost many customers, because we just couldn't deliver. And what happened then is like we started going to companies and saying, hey, electronics production companies, because we produce electronics. So we went to electronics production company and says, hey, I know that we just came out of the high school, but we would like to become your biggest customer. That was quite difficult, going from a revenue of 47,000 and saying, hey, I want to put in an order for 5 million. So what we achieved was just a lot of people try to do everything possible, but very often these companies are too corporate, so they were also very slow. I remember one answer was that we will do everything in our power, we will cut all corners in our process, you will get your prototypes in 4 months. Well, we need them in 2 weeks and 50,000. The best company, by the way, who helped us a lot was Incap Electronics from Saaremaa. They are sitting there. So if you want to do electronics, then go to these guys from Saaremaa. But still, what we did was we built our own factory. Sorry, Saaremaa. And we built that factory in Tallinn. And why we did that was that we understood that if you want to be in electronics production, we want to also understand the whole cycle and go in the nits and grits of it. Of course, everybody told me it is a bad idea to build your own factory. But even more, what people told us, it's a bad idea to build your own scooter in Estonia. But we still did it. So we came from building electronics only, and today we are the only company outside China who is series producing electric scooters. And think about it, like the only company outside China who's doing it. For example, if you take mobile phones, there's no companies who are actually building mobile phones for end consumer outside China. So we're really doing a game change here. And why we do it is because we understood that the vehicles that are built currently are just so bad and so bad for this environment as well. And then when we were building the scooter, the initial idea was that we're going to sell it to operators like we do the electronic stuff. But then we understood that, damn, this scooter is so good that we don't want to sell it to operators anymore. We want to start operating ourselves as well. Because if you do the whole vertical integration, then it only starts making sense. So, you think about Apple making their own chips and making their end user software as well. And then we launched in Tallinn with the brand of Tool, super bloody exciting. So if somebody of you has been in B2B business like me for a long, painful time, and you spend like 4 years for a sales contract, B2C, epic, guys. Epic. Like, I don't know, everybody says, let's do B2B SaaS software. Fuck it. Let's do end consumer stuff. You don't imagine it. You put your scooters on the street, boom, your Facebook feed goes mad. You launch a scooter, everybody's like, boom, it's so cool. You have live data coming in. When we launched, me and my co-founder Heigo were refreshing the page, how we're doing around 400 times per day. And it ended with Heigo sitting at home with a beer and having a big screen, just seeing where the scooters are in the city. Instead of watching football, you're watching scooters going around in the city. Really cool doing end consumer stuff. But actually, as you say, our goal was to beat Bolt. So what we did in Tallinn was that we got the whole office into the factory for roughly 3 weeks. And we did, again, these like 16-hour days to actually build them and put them on the streets, which was super cool. Third part, values. So as I said, life is too short in my mind to build fintech companies because, sorry, but fintech companies don't change the world. Fintech companies don't help us to save the nature or get to a better working environment. So what we do is our goal is to make the world a better place to live. And I'll give you facts. 828,000 people have died of COVID-19 this year. 4.2 million people die every year because of air pollution-related diseases. I'll let it sink into you. So that means that if you want to save lives, do not study to become a doctor. If you want to save lives, study to become an engineer to build new technology. And this is why, from the beginning of this year, we call our people heroes. We don't call them team, we don't call them workers, we don't call them employees. We call them bloody heroes. Because what we do is the most important thing we can do today in the world. We're helping people to live and we're helping the nature to live. We have, we have 70 different heroes from 12 different nations. And what is cool is that about more than 60% of these people are actually engineers. So it's super heavy on bringing out new technologies. The scooter we built is not just the first one in Europe, but it's also the first one is made almost 50% of already recycled materials, has a lifetime of 5 years, and in the end of the life is 90% recyclable. So basically, if you look at sharing operations, instead of taking new material out from the soil, producing and shipping them to Europe, and then going through 3 different scooters over 5 years, we do it with one scooter and with a totally different mindset. So final part, advice. So everybody who wants to start their company, I'll give you advice that I think is smart, but I will let you to judge for it. So number 1, ask for help. In Estonia, there's so many things you can do, but also globally, events, accelerators, angels, fellow entrepreneurs. So if you're in difficult situations, always ask for help, but never do as they tell you to do. Teams will split. This is normal. So we started with 5 founders. We're now 3 founders. So however many founders you are, you will probably split up. So make a plan for it and take this as a normality. And if an investor tells you that you have 5 people and this will not work, then tell them thank you, but we are 5 people. This is the maddest thing that I experienced in my life from the startup world. They tell you that investors put money in 10 companies and only 1 succeed. It bloody is like that. You have 10 guys telling, I have an idea to make a company. 3 months later, only 1 guy probably made that company, or 2 or 3. Then it's about angel investment. You have 10 guys doing something. 1 of them will get an angel investment. From the guys who got angel investment, 1 guy will get an A round. And it's fucking harsh. But actually, it's also extremely rewarding. So whenever you do a round or you launch a product or get your first customer, celebrate, because you're now 1 of those 10. So this is something to keep in mind. Don't forget to celebrate as well when you succeed. This is really good. Everything is awesome. Everything is bullshit. We made 1.5 million euros of profit last year. We're losing 200,000 euros a month currently. Because of COVID-19, our biggest customer closed everything they did with a 3-hour notice. So if somebody says, oh, it was a harsh year, we lost a lot of money. Well, it was a harsh 3 hours. So one guy sends in an email, guys, I think something is going on. It might be my last day at work. It was nice to meet you. 3 hours later, press statement, Uber closed, jump, 400 people gone, 70% of our revenue. But then you launch your scooter, everything is awesome again. So this is totally normal. Whenever you're down, the best thing you know is that it's going to be awesome. But it's like glass half full, half empty. If you're awesome, it's going to be difficult again as well. Most important thing, fail fast is a total myth. Don't ever trust that. Never, ever give up. And final word of advice, don't forget that what you do in startups or in latitudes or in slushies or in fundraising or whatever is just business. And if you're wondering whether I should start or not, then keep in mind that if you fail, then you had the best job in the world building your own company. So never be afraid to start, never be afraid of taking this plunge and taking this risk, because what's the worst thing that can happen? I had the coolest job in the world. And finally, to put things into perspective about what I said, if you ask from me, what is the most important thing I'm happy with or proud of in the last 5 years that I have achieved, then this is thing and these two things. So enjoy the ride, build companies, but also love your loved ones. Enjoy the ride, and the best way how to enjoy the ride is to buy a tool. Boom! Thank you.
Super nice talk, presentation, call it whatever. Dynamic, I was enjoying every second of it. A couple of questions from the crowd. Two are kind of the same, so let's start with this. What is next for COMODULE and I assume Tool?
World domination.
Right, and let's switch to the second one straight away. About changing the world, would you say scooters replace walking or the cars?
Cars.
And moving on to the third one, scooter rentals are now everywhere. What is your take on this? Does it drive the field further or market is overloaded?
I have this hypothesis that if we would go to Lisbon, for example, which is the most saturated market, I think there's 5 or 6 players. I have this hypothesis that if you put our scooters there with exactly the same price than everybody else is, then everybody will ride our scooters. Because I think the problem currently is that it's saturated, but everybody uses 2 different models of scooters. One of them come from Okai factory, others come from Ninebot factory. So basically, there's actually no differentiation between them. So I think we're the only company in the world who has a differentiation. So it is saturated, but I think it's actually a good thing. People are used to riding this vehicle, so it's good grounds for us to go.
All right. No raised hands, I don't see anything. So let's one more time, round of applause. Thank you.